Hey guys, Drifter here. I have something of a last minute and unplanned commentary for you. The gameplay that you're seeing right here is me playing on Dome, Barrett 50 cal ACOG, and I think I'm running Kick. This is when I was getting footage for the not quite so in-depth gun comparison between the AS50 and the Barrett 50 cal. I was trying to get some Barrett 50 cal ACOG clips here on Dome. You might have actually seen some of these in the video, but anyway, I played like a big scrub in the beginning of this game, basically just hunting kills and clips and examples of how to use this gun, and a little bit over halfway in, about 1/3 left in the game, I realized that we were losing pretty badly because I was just letting J-Hub and Das Beast do all the work, and a couple of greenbacks couldn't quite pull through, so I had to really step it up and play, and me and J-Hub and Das Beast all worked really, really hard and had a very, very close comeback. As a matter of fact, it's going to be the closest comeback that you ever see on this channel, and you're going to have to watch very, very closely at the end because all the action goes down in about 1 second where we're going to come back and win the game. That kind of spoils this gameplay for you a little bit, but that segues into the next topic very nicely, which is titles of my videos. And I feel that yesterday's title about mixed marriages are awful was somewhat misleading. And a little intro into my world is, or part of it anyway, is making videos that are entertaining for you guys. And part of this is coming up with creative titles, because creative titles get views. And the way I like to do it is don't like to spoil the video with the title, because I don't think that's very fun or entertaining for anybody. Some commentators do that, but I try and introduce you to the subject of the commentary in the title, but not reveal the surprise or the big hook or the big important thing. Yesterday's got a little bit misleading, because I couldn't think of a good title to introduce into mixed height couples. So I was like, well, we're mixed, let's just drop that height word and see how it goes. And most people got it, some people got a little bit angry, but that's okay. But where I really screwed up was on the subject matter of the commentary. There was one key important thing that I forgot to mention, and that was the fact that I really like my wife. I absolutely love my wife, but it didn't seem like that from the commentary because I only talked about one negative aspect of our relationship, and that's the height difference. And that's what this video is mostly about. It's about long-term relationships and how they're very different from short-term relationships. And I'm speaking from a guy who's only been in long-term relationships. The only girl I've ever dated is my wife. I dated her once, and the only person that she's ever dated is me, so we've never dated anybody else, and we've been together for 6 years now, which is an incredibly long time. And I don't mean to demean any of you in any way, but I know statistically speaking, just from the age demographics that YouTube gives me, there's not a lot of you that have probably been in long-term relationships. If I had to estimate, I would say probably about 25 to 30% of this channel has been in a what I would class as a long-term relationship, 2 or 3 years plus. Definitely some of you, not a lot of you, and there's a big difference there. The big difference is that a long-term relationship isn't just the good stuff. From my understanding of my relationship with my wife when it first started, and what you see from TV and talking to friends and stuff like that, a short-term relationship is all the good stuff: dating, fun, happy, all that kind of stuff. A long-term, that was a short-term. The long-term relationship is everything. You get the good, the bad, and the ugly of a relationship, and there's definitely all three of these things. In my particular relationship, some of the things that I like about my wife, she cooks really, really well. She cooks a lot of Chinese food, stuff that I don't know anything about, but generally tastes good, which is good. I like surprises. I like food surprises, so I think that's a good thing. Our sex life is pretty good. She's asleep right now, so I can talk about this. I wouldn't even bother mentioning this while she was awake because I could hear her grumping at me from the other room. But that goes pretty damn well. I'm not going to talk about that too much in detail because I don't want a TVMA little sticker on this video. It's nice to be able to travel with somebody, to have a lifelong friend, a lifelong companion, somebody to help you out. The other day I had to go collect surveys at a tailgating for my graduate project. And I'm a big lanky guy that just got my hair cut, so instead of having my friendly stoner hair and the little afro thing going on, I have this weird like beaver cleaver goober cut. And my wife was kind enough to volunteer to go out there in the hot ass sun and walk around with me and help collect surveys to help me look more approachable and pretty. Because, you know, if I walk around with another girl beside me, especially a happy smiling little Asian girl, I look much more approachable than the weird, awkward, possibly serial killer guy out there asking people strange questions. There is some bad things in any relationship. One of the ones that I mentioned earlier was height differences. The height differences... Ooh, well, Das Beast got a quad there. Nice. The height differences do cause some significant strain because it's a physical limitation. It's about where you arrange things and what you do with them. And there is definitely some annoyance to that, but it's not like the biggest thing in the world. There's also problems with different tastes. I mentioned food earlier. We have very, very different tastes in food. She likes cheeses a lot. I really don't. I like really spicy things. She really doesn't. I like really sweet things. She likes a richer flavor, whereas I go for the abominable American, just sweet creams and just slather syrup all over my pancakes and that sort of stuff. So it leads to inevitable arguments about food, and it's not just taste in food, it's taste in decoration, a taste in movie, a taste in clothing, a taste in lifestyle. It's different, and when there's differences, there's conflicts, and conflicts are rarely good. Ideally, you want to get with a person, see, we're getting triple capped right now, we're losing really bad. You want to get with a person that has complementary taste in things, because if you have somebody that's exactly like you, chances are you're going to find that they're boring. And if you have somebody that's radically different from you, you're going to have problems getting along. But if you have somebody with some similarities and some differences, especially where your differences complement each other, you can get each other to try different things. It works really, really well in the long run. Also in the bad things, you have different wants, different needs. That's physically, emotionally, spiritually, family-wise. Lots of conflicts can come from that, because no two people are going to be exactly the same. And then you get to the ugly part of a relationship, and this part I don't try not to talk about too much. You try not to emphasize it too much, is what I kind of did in the other video. I didn't mention the good parts. Something kind of like, my wife has something of a bad temper, and so do I. We both actually have very bad tempers. Did you see that C4? That guy almost C4'd me, but I shot him in the head. She has, we both actually have cold tempers. Like, she gets really, really mad, she gets quiet, she clams up, she doesn't react, she doesn't respond, and I know I'm in trouble. And I also know that behind that she's boiling and she's furious and she's trying to hold back a lot of hateful words. And I really respect her for that amount of control, but that's our conflicts. I'm the same way. I have a really, really bad temper, believe it or not, but I work very, very hard to keep my temper under control. So the problem that we have sometimes is that I'll be really, really angry and she won't know, or she will know, and she doesn't like it when I get angry because I get really punchy and violent. I usually go out and punch a tree until my hands start bleeding, and that's usually a good time to stop. But you get bad things like that. You get arguments over things that are supposed to be small that blow up to be big, and you get outside pressures, job pressures, life issues, family issues, children, all that sort of stuff get in the mix, and things get complicated. But when you really love somebody, when you really care about somebody, you take all of that. You take the good things in life, you take the bad things in life, and you take the ugly things in life, and you just roll with it, and you roll with it together, and that's how we're doing it, and that's how we're going to keep doing it, God willing, unless something changes. And that's how it is. I saw somebody in the comments of the other video, it's like, well, blah, 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 if you talk shit about your wife so much, then how do you still love her? Why did you get engaged to her? Like, well, I think the question was, why do you still love your wife? And my answer was, how can I not? It's, when you care about somebody, it kind of sticks with you. When you really, really care about somebody, the question is, why, instead of why do you, it's how can you not? And that's kind of how I feel where I am right now. My words are getting a little bit screwed up here. I don't see how I couldn't care about my wife. Like, I don't see the off switch. It's just kind of ingrained into my personality at that point. And you have to take all these things. It's not a perfect package. It's sweet and sour sauce. It's the yin and the yang. It all comes together. And the difference is you have to work out or you're going to live miserably. Marriages, I've seen very, very few successful marriages. My dad was divorced once. My mom was divorced many, many, many times. And she's had very many bad husbands and maybe one or two questionably good husbands. It was a complicated series of relationships, to say the least. My dad's had some shaky girlfriends, but I've seen very few successful relationships. I don't know if it's an American thing or what, but I know many, many people that have been divorced many times over, or this is true mostly of white people. This kind of baffles my wife because she comes from an Asian family where they all stick together in a little clan and they never divorce and they never break up. But white families, they just break up and all the kids hate the parents and that sort of thing. There's no respect for them, and it's really confusing for her. But I'm getting a little bit off topic here. I've seen very few successful marriages, and those that I have seen that are successful are people that really go out of their way to work out the differences and enjoy the good things. And that sounds simple, but when you get really pissed off at somebody about something, working out those differences is sometimes hard, and it can really ruin your entire life. Like my grandparents, they were married back in the 40s, before there was such a thing as domestic abuse, before, domestic abuse existed, but there was no like law for it. You weren't going to get in trouble for beating your wife, because Lord knows it happened. And they didn't get along with each other, but because of the times, they never got a divorce. They never split up. They just tried to stick it out, and they ended up absolutely hating each other. I mean, it was just absolutely awful to go to their house, and every other word they were just sniping at each other back and forth, just mean little things like blah blah, like the grandfather say, you know, one of these days I'm going to up and die and then you're going to miss me. And my grandmother was like, I'm not going to miss you. When you die, it's going to be the best day of my life. I'm going to go on vacation. Then lo and behold, when he did die, she became incredibly depressed and idolized the man and made him out like a saint, despite the fact that he beat the shit out of her. And it was the other way around. My grandfather, abusive but not entirely evil. I saw things. This man is blind, and he has diabetes, and he has cancer, and he can't move around very, very well. But he does manage to very stealthily communicate with me while in the household, in the presence of my grandmother, and gets me to sneak him out to Walmart, and where he can barely move around, to go to Walmart and buy her a Valentine's gift. Not necessarily a Valentine's gift, but a surprise for her on Valentine's Day, because she doesn't think he can really move around. And try and surprise her, because he really still cared about her. But after all the years of meanness and spitefulness and maybe some miscommunication, because she said she didn't want a gift anyway, I remember she just blew up on him and chewed him out and said she didn't want his damn chocolates or his gift or any of that sort of stuff. And I ended up leaving the house because it got a little bit ugly. And as I made my trip around the block moving away, I saw my grandfather standing in the front yard holding his little Valentine gift, trying not to cry. And that's one of many, many stories, but that's not the kind of relationship that I want to be in. I want to be in one where I really work things out in the long run. And another thing that I'm going to hit on here before the game is over, you can see we're losing right now, and I have to capture this point to come back, is that there's not a lot of positive communication in my household, and that has to do with the way that I grew up with the grandparents and father, and the way that I learned how to lie and learned how to communicate. And my wife also is from an Asian family where they didn't do this happy-go-lucky, joyful communication, huggy kind of shit that other families do. So we tend to communicate with each other very, very sarcastically. Not a lot of positive emotional building around here. And we understand each other, but it does look very bad from the outside. And I've kind of burned up all the time in this commentary. Gonna watch J-Hub get some FMG9 kills here at the end because they, quote, made him mad. Drifter out.